To begin with, it is an undeniable fact that our humanity is accountable for the extinction of an abundance of living organisms. It can be said that the dodo birds are just one of the many remarkable animal species that unfortunately disappeared from the nature due to their unexpected bipedal guests, which occupied their habitat. Before they went extinct, the dodo birds were mainly known to be inhabiting some set of small volcanic islands known as the islands of Mascarene. This island group, which is in the Indian Ocean, is currently located on the eastern side of the island of Madagascar. Moreover, the Mascarene archipelago consists of 3 islands, which are the islands of Mauritius, Reunion, and Rodriguez. Besides their habitat, it is prominent to indicate that the dodo must not be regarded as a single animal species. This is because the term dodo refers to a bird family, which is comprised of more than one bird species. Therefore, it would be more accurate to say the dodo birds instead of the dodo bird. To continue with the dodo family, it was discovered that there were 4 main species of dodos, which mostly shared different environments. These species were the dodo of Mauritius, the solitaire of Reunion, and Rodriguez solitaire, and the white dodo. Among these 4 species, the most prevalent and well-known one was the dodo of Mauritius. As also understood from their names, 3 of these dodo species lived on separate islands that possessed similar natural features. However, the white dodo and the dodo of Mauritius used to live on the same island, which was the island of Mauritius. The other remaining less-known members of the dodo family used to inhabit some lone and little remote islands that were located around the Mascarene archipelago. Furthermore, one must not neglect the fact that the dodo birds were endemic animal species, which means that they only existed on their particular islands in the Indian Ocean. With regard to their evolutionary emergence in history, due to the lack of fossil bones, scientists are only able to create prospective theories about the evolution of these birds. Nevertheless, most scientists agree that the dodo birds first appeared on the island of Mauritius about 10 million years ago and eventually became extinct towards the end of the 17th century. It is believed that during the Ice Age, the dodo birds began to split and evolve from the archaic pigeon species. Therefore, they can also be regarded as giant pigeons, since these birds could gain weight up to 20 kilograms. At this point, it is evident that the dodo, which were flightless bird species, used to fly as they evolved from pigeons, but they somehow managed to lose this ability. The main reason for this is because these birds' environments had an adequate amount of food almost everywhere, and it also did not include any natural enemy or predator that could threaten their life. All these factors thus did not require the dodo to fly in their nature, which caused them to become flightless birds as the time passed. In terms of these birds' habitats, they didn't used to live on the trees, since they generally preferred to spend their time on the floor of the forests that were located around the coastal lowland of the island. Additionally, dodo birds were omnivore animals. Their diet is usually known to be including fallen fruits from trees, plant seeds or roots, and small vertebrate animals such as frogs. In addition to these birds' physical features, as also understood from their image drawn by a botanist who visited the Mauritius island, the dodos had relatively big head, beak and body attached to small wings and short legs. Lastly, the majority of the people are inclined to think that the dodo birds were slow and defenseless cute birds. However, in fact, this is a common misconception because these birds could be quite fast, aggressive, and brutal, especially when they were faced with danger.
One of the best examples of extinctions brought on by humans is that of dodo birds. The dodo was formerly a bird that lived on the island of Mauritius in the Indian Ocean that was bigger than a turkey, flightless, and weighed more than 20 kilograms. Dodos are said to construct their nests on the ground and only produce one egg each lifetime. Nearly 200 years after being found by Portuguese sailors, the species died extinct. Dodos were not naturally dangerous, thus they had no fear of people, The dodos, which only reproduce once a year, were swiftly exterminated by sailors and sailors who perceived them as easy-to-fish meals. As people began to inhabit the island, their natural habitats were swiftly destroyed, and the dodo's extinction threat grew. Additionally, the colonists imported pigs and monkeys that consumed the eggs, which indirectly contributed greatly to the demise of the dodo. Under these circumstances, the dodos had an extremely tough time surviving and maintaining their genetic line, and they ultimately failed. The last dodo was killed in 1681, marking the end of the species.
The dodo bird is one of the species that went extinct relatively recently. It was first mentioned in the accounts of Dutch sailors at the end of the 16th century and went extinct around the mid-17th century. With today's advanced bioengineering techniques, many extinct animals are being tried to de-extinct or be brought back. Colossal Biosciences is a biotechnology and genetic engineering company that leads the extinction research. They were known for their research to resurrect the woolly mammoth and Tasmanian tiger. They recently shared that they will begin researching to resurrect the dodo bird. Resurrecting the dodo bird is intriguing because it might be the most famous extinct species. Kennedy says, in the world of extinct animals, the dodo carries some heavy symbolic weight. We even see the dodo bird in our popular culture. There is even movie about it. Beth Shapiro, an American evolutionary molecular biologist, she's a professor in the Department of Ecology and Evolutionary Biology at the University of California, Santa Cruz, and leads a research team. She published an article, Flight of the Dodo Bird, in 2002. In that research, she and her team mentions that they had extracted a piece of the dodo bird's mitochondrial DNA, and with that mitochondrial DNA, they were able to learn more about the dodo bird. They also learned about its closest living relatives. In 2020, they announced that they had constructed the whole genome of the bird. This is a huge step, but the tricky part is to implant the genome into an egg cell of the closest living relative of the dodo bird. Kennedy mentions Colossal Biosciences is exploring a process to extract avian primordial germ cells from bird eggs. If the process works, the PGCs from pigeons would eventually be manipulated to develop into a dodo-like bird. Shapiro and the Colossal Biosciences seem sure that an extinct species can be resurrected. They have already started planning about what will happen after they resurrect it.